Good night, my friends. Welcome to my channel, Daily Inspiration with Geely. Tonight, I want to go back to childhood days to, reminisce and find out if you had some experiences like I had when I was a child, and also to tell you a story. Um, I remember as a child, I used to be very afraid because everybody used to tell um ghost stories. You know those times when they tell ghost stories and then you can't go to sleep because you're so afraid. And then I slept alone, so I used to be so distressed. But you know what? Um you want to hear anyway. You listened anyway when they tell you all sorts of stories that happened. And I remember sometimes when I used to stay with my grandmother, I would go sleep with her at night. So she lived, I don't know, I'm not very good at judging distances, but maybe about a 3/4 of a mile away from where I live. And I'd be at home dilly dallying, and I'm going to go to my grandmother, and then I leave, and then I have to be asking somebody to follow me part of the way, or I run like I hear news. I used to be a little rebel, when I think about it. And I remember when I would run and run and run and run, and then when I get onto the veranda, tearing down the door for my grandmother to open it quickly so I can get in. And it seemed as if she was taking 100 years. And she was not um frail or anything like that. But as far as she's concerned, she's taking her own time to come and open the door and let me inside. And then when I got into bed with her, then no, I wasn't afraid anymore. Um, I remember when I used to go visit her sometimes, I would leave home and I'd go down to see her because, sometimes I think I might do things that my parents going to beat me about, and I just go straight down to my grandmother because once I go to my grandmother, they're not going to beat me again because my granny not hearing of it. And then after time passes, they don't bother to beat me because usually I'm not doing anything really, really badly for them to want to beat me. So I'd go to my grandmother. But I remember sometimes when I go to my grandmother and I'm hungry and I look around and I don't see anything in the place to eat, and I'm saying, there isn't anything in here to eat. What am I going to eat? And she said, you stay there. Shut up your mouth and wait. And in two shakes of a duck's tail, she comes up with something. And I don't understand. As far as I'm concerned, I looked everywhere and I never saw anything. And in short order, I'm going to get a glass of lemonade, 2 slices of bread with, you remember, best butter? The anchor butter. It was the nicest thing with the white bread. And I'd get a piece of maybe pudding or toto or cake, which was not very often with the cake, but something baked most times, or a fruit or something. She always had something, and it never ceased to amaze my childish mind where she got all of this from, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm in there searching and looking and I'm not seeing anything, but she comes up with something. I remember another time when there's a little girl who lived next door, my grandmother. So my grandmother used to drink this very bitter drink, aloe and sulfur king bitters. Listen to me. Sulfur king is the most bitter liquid on earth, and she mixed that with aloe. And I remember one evening she came and my grandmother was drinking the thing, and she asked for some, and my grandmother said no because it is bitter. But you know what, the thing, it when she poured it in the spoon, it had a deep purple, and like it glistened. It was so pretty, and I think she was fascinated by the color of the thing, and my grandmother refused to give it to her, and she started to make a whatever it is, not quite a tantrum, but she was really annoyed. She wanted, and my grandmother said, okay. She poured a little into the spoon, you see. I gave it to her. and gave it to her. And when she swallowed it, she nearly mad. I can't tell you what she said. And she run home. I laughed that evening till I almost passed out because my grandmother told her over and over, no, it is bitter, and she wouldn't listen. So she learned a bitter lesson and she went home. I used to hop trucks when the trucks passed, because where I lived, it was a little grade. You went up a little grade, so the trucks would pass, and the banana trucks pass. And I rushed out of the yard and I hear the trucks coming, and I wait until it passes a little bit, and I hang on to the tailgate and get the little ride right up to the grade, and then I would jump off. Sometimes my mother would know that I'm going to do that, and she hides behind the grass thingy and rush out with the whip, and she slapped my legs and have to run. But I still hopped because I liked the little ride on the truck. Well, one evening, I was going to my grandmother's and I saw this truck coming. So I figured I would hop the truck because I would get to my destination a little quicker. And I hopped onto the truck. Now the truck is going downhill, you know. And nobody told me that when you hop onto a moving vehicle, if you're going to hop off, you have to hop off and hop off and run. Because when I used to hop the truck going up the hill, I would just let go and just walk away because it was going slowly. So when it got to the crest of the hill, now I'd come off. Well, that night when I hopped to the truck and it was bearing away and some other youngsters were on the truck, I decided that I'm coming off now because it passed the entrance to my grandmother's place. So I said, I'm coming off. Just let go. I let go and listen to me, no people. I was a mess. That is all I can tell you. And somebody called my father and he came to give me a beating. But when he came, he picked me up as limp as a rag doll. Mash up my mouth, break my teeth, skin off my knees, my tummy, my clothes torn, and gravel and sand ground into my flesh. Listen to me. It was a time. Oh boy. Did I stop hopping the vehicles? Well, can't say that I did. The last time I hopped a vehicle was when I came to college. One night we were going to social, about 6 of us, and I saw this bus coming, and just as it was coming up the hill, I decided to hop onto the bus, and I hopped into the bus. When I went into the bus, the driver and another man was in the bus. Here the driver, we're carrying somebody tonight. And I'm like, is this man crazy? So I inched toward the door because I'm thinking that I'm going to jump out when it gets to the top of the hill and if he decides to take me away. So the man saw that I was going to jump out of the bus. The man said, listen to me. Mind what you're doing because nobody not taking you away. Wait until the bus stops. And the man stopped and I came off. And I went up to school and sat on the seat of the scaffold and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and can't see the people coming. And I'm wondering what happened to them. They changed their minds because I hopped and left them. They were laughing so hard that it took them about half an hour to get up there. A walk that would have taken them like about 10 minutes or so. They couldn't reach because they were laughing at me because I had hopped into the bus. But that was something I used to do on a regular basis. But that was the last time I ever did. I think I grew up and outgrew the hopping of the vehicles because I realized that it could be dangerous. Because when the man said, we're carrying somebody tonight, I was in a tizzy. But thank God, in those days, you were still pretty safe. So they didn't take me away. But we used to do all sorts of things. Climb trees, play marble, play gig, and all of these things. These children these days don't do those things. They sit inside and play computer games and stuff like that on tablets and computer and phone and all the rest of it, and not being outside. Sometimes we're outside and we're gone for the whole day and our parents don't know where we are. Gone to Mango, Bush, or gone to River. What used to happen is that I didn't get to do that a lot. It used to be rare because I was the only child for my mother, and she was always keeping an eye out for me. But every now and then I'd get away. So, I got to enjoy some of those. But let me tell you something now. When my father died, that was a very sad time. But when he was being buried, I don't know what happened. It looks like they didn't measure the they made a sepulchre for him, not a vault, a sepulchre. So they apparently didn't judge the measurement of the thing properly. So when it was time to put his casket into the sepulchre, they were having a difficult time getting it in there. And they were out there trying to push and heave and shove and carry on. So a young man said he would go in and pull it in, and they should push and he would pull, and then it would come in. When he went in, he pulled in the casket and they were pushing, so it got in. So now it got in and he was to come out and he couldn't come out. And he's trying to worm his way out of there. Everything he's stuck and can't come out and what have you. And they were out there and contemplating, man, you can't come out and what have you. And they're trying to pull it back out and it wasn't working or anything like that. Well, one man caught hold of a shovel and said, man, make we lock it up with him in there, man. Because it's going to be the whole evening. Well, listen to me. Have you ever heard the saying that when trouble take your picnic short fit you? Meaning that when you're in trouble, you find ways and means of getting out. He shrank. That is all I can say. He shrank when it was there because when the man draw the shovel on the ground and somebody else say, all right. And he thought that they were really going to lock up the thing with him in there. His body shrank and he got out of there in short order. Well, I don't need to tell you that I was weak and my tummy ached and my head and every other part of me that could hurt. Because that was the funniest thing. He almost got locked up in there, buried alive, because he went in there and couldn't come out. Can you imagine that? One other thing now. My mother always said whenever I see a crowd, I should go in the opposite direction because invariably something is not right and you will get hurt, so don't go. But I went out to Dovecote one Sunday afternoon to a funeral. And when I looked across, I saw people running up and down and stuff like that. And people bending over. So I thought they were laughing. So I took my time and walked over to see what was happening with my very inquisitive self. And when I went over, I saw a pickup truck. And it had a casket in there that was huge. When I say huge, it was huge. And I counted 15 men with ropes. And they were counting each time they pulled at the thing. They had ropes around it and they were counting and pulling and counting and pulling and counting and pulling until they finally got the casket out. And it was something else. I heard tell that the young man weighed 800 pounds. So you can just imagine the size of the casket and the weight of it. And so it took 15 men and they heaved and shoved and pulled and pushed and counted until they got it. The hole was 2 holes in one and they put the casket. I didn't see when it had gone down because I had just gone to see why everybody was running up and down like that. But that evening it was hilarious. And I walked back to where I was and I was telling the people where I had gone and what I had seen. And they thought I was joking. So they found out for themselves because it was the talk of the evening. But let me tell you something, man. I've had some experiences. It's something to listen to. I just thought that I would share that with you this evening to put a smile on your face because somebody needs a smile. Somebody needs a laugh. So next time I'll be a little more sober, and I just want you to subscribe, share, like, leave a comment if you will, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.